Are you a green card holder? Did someone send you a scary post about being denied entry at the US border? Take a deep breath. What I'm about to tell you could save you from making a huge mistake. If you've noticed that headline circulating online, you're probably feeling a mixture of fear and confusion right now. Maybe you're a green card holder planning to visit family abroad, or you know someone who is, and suddenly you're wondering whether you'll actually be permitted back into the country. The internet has been flooded with alarming posts suggesting that DHS is blocking green card holders from returning home, and the anxiety this creates is very real. Families are worried about being separated. People are questioning whether their permanent resident status actually means anything. Some are even considering canceling travel plans. But before you panic or make any major decisions, you need to understand what's actually occurring versus what's being amplified on social media. That's what we're going to walk through together today. I'm going to break down the facts, separate the rumors from the reality, and provide you the clear, accurate information you need to make informed decisions about your immigration status and your travel plans. Welcome to U.S. Policy Brief, your reliable source for the latest U.S. immigration news. I am your host, Daniel Brooks. Let me start by being absolutely clear about something fundamental. The United States does not have a blanket policy that blocks all green card holders from returning home. That is not enforceable U.S. immigration law, and it is not how the system works. However, I understand why this claim is circulating, and there are some legitimate policy concerns and modifications that deserve serious attention. That's what we need to unpack carefully. In recent months, there have been discussions and proposed policy modifications related to how DHS and immigration officials handle returning resident aliens at the border. Some of these discussions have been misrepresented online, while others reflect genuine policy shifts that are worth understanding. The key to protecting yourself is knowing the difference between a viral claim, a proposed policy modification, an actual administrative practice, and enforceable immigration law. First, let's discuss what green card status actually means and what legal protections it provides. When you are a lawful permanent resident, you have the right to reside in the United States, and you have the right to travel internationally and return. This right is foundational to permanent resident status. It's not something that can be arbitrarily revoked through a social media policy or a vague DHS announcement. Changing green card holders' fundamental right to return would require a modification in federal immigration law, which means it would have to go through Congress. That is not something that occurs overnight, and it's not something that occurs without significant public notice, legal review, and a lengthy legislative process. Now, there are some real policy discussions occurring right now that have been confused with an outright ban. DHS officials and immigration enforcement agencies have been discussing stricter scrutiny at ports of entry for returning residents. Some of these discussions have focused on identifying green card holders who may have abandoned their residency or who may not be maintaining sufficient ties to the United States. Under existing immigration law, a permanent resident can actually lose their green card status if they abandon it or if they stay outside the United States for an extended period without maintaining their permanent resident status properly. This is not new law. This has always been part of the system. What may be changing is how aggressively or consistently this regulation is being enforced or discussed. Additionally, there have been discussions about increased scrutiny of green card holders at the border who may have been convicted of certain crimes or who may present security concerns. Again, this is not a blanket blocking of all green cards. This is about applying existing legal standards more rigorously. The distinction matters enormously because one is a violation of your rights as a permanent resident, and the other is enforcement of existing law. Let me explain how green card abandonment actually works, because this is where a lot of the confusion is coming from. If you are a green card holder and you depart the United States and stay abroad for more than 6 months without filing proper paperwork, you may be deemed to have abandoned your permanent resident status. The paperwork we're discussing is either a valid re-entry permit or an advanced parole document. If you plan to be outside the U.S. for more than 6 months, you need to file a Form I-131 application for a travel document before you depart. This is not a new requirement. This has been the regulation for many years. However, if you did not file this and you are returning after an extended absence, immigration officials at the port of entry have the authority to question whether you have abandoned your status. They can deny your entry and place you in removal proceedings if they determine that you have abandoned your green card. What appears to be occurring now, based on statements from immigration officials, is that there is potentially more aggressive enforcement of this existing regulation. If that is true, it matters because it could affect people who assumed they could depart for extended periods without proper documentation and still return freely. But again, this is not a new law, and it is not a blanket ban on all green card holders. It is enforcement of regulations that have always existed. There has also been discussion about increased scrutiny of green card holders at the border who may have criminal convictions or who may present national security concerns. Permanent residents can lose their status and be removed from the country if they have been convicted of certain crimes. These are defined crimes of moral turpitude, drug trafficking offenses, crimes of violence, and other serious felonies. If you possess a green card and you have been convicted of one of these offenses, you are already at risk of losing your status. Enhanced screening at the border to identify these individuals is not new, but it may be more consistent. Now let's discuss what you may have actually observed online that triggered this fear. There have been posts about DHS considering or implementing policies that would require green card holders returning from travel to prove that they maintain U.S. residency or that they have not abandoned their status. Some posts have misrepresented this as an outright ban. Other posts have suggested that green card holders from certain countries will face heightened scrutiny. Some posts have claimed that green card holders returning from specific regions will be denied entry. These claims range from partially misleading to completely false. The reality is that immigration enforcement policies do modify over time and administration priorities do shift. It is absolutely reasonable to pay attention to how policy is being implemented. But the key distinction is between a modification in enforcement priorities and an actual modification in the law, or a violation of rights. You have a legal right to return home as a green card holder. That right is protected by federal law. No administrative action can simply erase that right. What can occur is that you can be questioned at the border and your status can be verified. What can occur is that if there is evidence you have abandoned your status, you can be placed in removal proceedings. But those are not the same as a blanket block on all returning residents. Here's where I want to be very direct with you. If you are a green card holder and you are planning international travel, you need to take specific steps to protect yourself. First, make sure your green card is valid and not expired. Second, if you plan to be outside the United States for more than 6 months, file your I-131 advanced parole application before you depart. This is non-negotiable. Do not assume you can depart for an extended period without this documentation. Third, maintain evidence of your U.S. residency. This means keeping U.S. bank accounts active, maintaining a U.S. address, keeping tax records, and demonstrating that you have ties to the United States. Fourth, do not depart the country if you have pending removal proceedings or if you have been advised by an immigration attorney that your status is in question. If you are returning from travel and you have been outside the United States for an extended period, be prepared for questioning at the border about your residency and your ties to the country. This is standard procedure. Have documentation ready that demonstrates you have been maintaining your permanent resident status. This includes paycheck stubs if you have U.S. employment, bank statements, utility bills, proof of property ownership or lease, or tax returns. These documents demonstrate that you have not abandoned your residency. Now, let me address some of the specific claims that have been circulating. You may have observed posts claiming that green card holders from certain countries face blanket restrictions on returning. This is not true. You may have observed claims that the Biden administration or any other administration is implementing a policy to deny all returning green card holders entry. This is not true. You may have observed posts suggesting that green card status no longer provides the right to return. This is absolutely not true, and it would be unconstitutional to enforce such a policy. However, you may have observed legitimate discussions about how DHS is implementing existing law more strictly. You may have observed news about immigration officials questioning returning residents more thoroughly. These things may be occurring and they are worth taking seriously, but they are not the same as a ban. What is important for you to understand is that immigration policy does not modify overnight, and significant modifications that would affect your fundamental rights require legislative action. Congress would have to pass a new law to strip green card holders of their right to return. That would be a massive, controversial legislative action with significant media coverage and public debate. If you start observing rumors about DHS implementing a new policy, you can verify whether this is real by checking official sources. The USCIS website, the CBP website, the DHS official statements, and official government announcements are where policy modifications are actually documented. Social media posts, screenshots, and rumors are not official sources. Let me provide you the practical steps you should take right now. If you are a green card holder and you have questions about whether you can travel, schedule a consultation with a licensed immigration attorney. This is not expensive and it is absolutely worth your time. An attorney can review your specific situation, including any criminal history, any extended absences from the U.S., and your current status, and can advise you on whether travel is safe for you and what documentation you need. This is the only way to obtain legal advice tailored to your situation. If you are planning travel and you will be outside the U.S. for more than 6 months, do not skip the I-131 application. File it before you depart. If you have already departed without filing this, consult an attorney before returning. If you have a criminal conviction in your background, you absolutely must consult an immigration attorney before traveling. Certain convictions can make you deportable, and returning to the United States could put you at risk of removal. If you are hearing rumors or observing posts about DHS policy modifications, verify them through official government sources before making decisions based on them. Rumors can cause unnecessary panic and can lead to poor decisions. Finally, if you are already back in the United States and you have concerns about your status, seek legal counsel. Do not ignore these concerns, but also do not panic based on social media claims. Obtain professional advice. I want to emphasize something very important here. The United States has a rule of law. Immigration law is complex and it does modify, but those modifications occur through established legal processes. When you observe a viral claim that contradicts fundamental legal rights, you should be skeptical. It does not mean the claim is false, but it means you need to verify it through official sources. Green card status is valuable, and it does provide significant protection and rights. It provides the right to live and work in the United States. It provides the right to travel internationally and return. It provides the path to citizenship. These protections exist and they are legally enforceable. Individual immigration officials do not have the power to simply ignore these rights. If an official attempts to deny you entry or revoke your status in violation of the law, you have the right to challenge that in immigration court. That said, immigration enforcement is real and policies do shift. Being vigilant about understanding your rights and preparing for scrutiny at the border is wise. Ignoring legitimate policy modifications and assuming nothing will ever affect you is not wise. The middle ground is staying informed through official sources, understanding how existing law works, consulting with attorneys when necessary, and taking practical steps to protect yourself. As a green card holder, or as someone who knows green card holders, you have a responsibility to yourself and to your family to understand the actual regulations, not just the rumors. Share this accurate information with others. If someone in your community is panicking based on a viral post, help them understand the distinction between a rumor and enforceable law. Encourage them to consult with attorneys and to verify policy modifications through official government sources. The bottom line is this: as of today, green card holders have the legal right to return to the United States. That right is real. That right is protected by law. If you are a lawful permanent resident in good standing, you should be able to travel internationally and return. However, you need to follow the regulations, maintain your residency, prepare for questioning at the border, and consult with professionals if you have specific concerns. Do not make major decisions based on social media rumors. Do not assume everything is fine and skip proper preparation. Find the balance between being informed and being prepared. The information I've provided today is general information about U.S. immigration law and is not personal legal advice. Your specific situation may involve details that affect how the law applies to you. If you have questions about your own status, your own travel, or your own circumstances, you must consult with a licensed immigration attorney who can review your case and provide you advice tailored to your situation. If this video has clarified something for you, or if you have additional questions about returning to the U.S. as a green card holder, please subscribe to U.S. Policy Brief. We are committed to cutting through the noise and bringing you accurate, fact-based information about immigration policy and law. If you know someone who has been worried about this issue, please share this video with them. Accurate information helps keep families together and prevents people from making decisions based on fear and rumors. Leave a comment below with any questions you have about green card status, travel, or what's occurring at the border. If you have observed specific claims about DHS and returning residents that you want us to fact-check, let us know. We read your comments and we create videos based on the questions and concerns we hear from our community. Thank you for watching U.S. Policy Brief, and we'll see you in the next update. Are you a green card holder? Did someone send you a scary post about being denied entry at the U.S. border? Take a deep breath. What I'm about to tell you could save you from making a huge mistake.